For our final topic for this evening, it is getting very close to the trade deadline. I actually asked Sean Payton about this after the game. I actually said it's coming close to the trade deadline. Would you be open to making some calls? And he said, it got a bit of a laugh because he sort of like laughed himself at it. He said, we're always open to take the calls and to listen and to improve and to see where we're at with everything. So I think we should throw out some players, throw out some trade scenarios with us, have a bit of a debate on it. I don't think we need to sort of list out who we have, where we think, if that's what you guys would be comfortable with.
Sure.
Yeah, cool. I mean, I've got my one when I was looking at it. Trey Hendrickson, I think, 1 year, 30 million deal at Cincinnati ends this year. It's been so it's turbulent with Cincinnati and him over the last few seasons and getting this contract and everything like that. And I think a really great place for him to go would be the Patriots, the New England Patriots. They're mid-range in the sacks and hurries and quarterback pressures at the minute. They've clearly got something going on there. They've got the money. They've got a lot of cap room still to work with. They've got a couple of thirds and fourths that I think they could play with Hendrickson. I don't think he goes for anything more than thirds and fourths, to be honest with you. And they could sign him, to 2-3 year deal, and he can. It's not working with Keon White. It feels like at the Patriots at the minute. I think this would be a really good move. Hendrickson becomes the main guy there. They suddenly have a lot more pressure on that defense. Their secondary is pretty decent at the Patriots. We know what their offense can do. They've got this culture with Vrabel, like we said. I think you could notably mention the 49ers or the Chiefs could be interested in that with the injury to Bosa. The Chiefs, I think, need a little bit more magic on that edge as well. I know. What do you think to that?
I've never thought Patriots in my head when I was thinking edge rushers. I think 49ers has always been my... Yeah. I kind of went through it as which teams need to trade for someone to kick on. So I picked my teams first and then chose a player to kind of who would fit there. And 49ers was a team I was like, they need help because they've lost Bosa and now Warner. They need help maybe getting some bit more pressure. So I was like,
my counter to this is that I think the division, as you've just duly noted with the Bills actually, is up for grabs here. And they could win the division. And it puts them in a good spot in that playoff spot. I'm not saying they go to the FC Championship, but it gets you into a good spot there where you start to, you can maybe kick on. But any given Sunday when it comes to the playoffs, isn't it? They could push on here. And I think you tie them up to contract for 2-3 years. You've got an absolute wrecking ball on the edge. You've got a guy, I feel like he is a guy also that he plays for Mike Vrabel. He's flying the Vrabel flag. He's the voice of Vrabel within that defense as well. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, doesn't it? I think he's... And look, I think the Patriots is certainly one place that he could fall. I mean, that does make sense. They do need a bit of help there. But I must admit, I have, purely because of the injuries, I would have always gone 49ers as my sort of like my main thought. But I think
would you say with the 49ers, though, is that we trade for him now, his deal runs out at the end of the year? Do they sign him to a 2-year deal? Like I think if he moves, he wants that 2-3 year deal.
It'd be a 1 year deal.
The 49ers do it.
Yeah. It'd be a 1 year deal because the 49ers won't be able to afford.
But I don't think he wants that. He doesn't want that. He wants to be in one place, I think.
He wasn't the name that I had for the 49ers. I thought they'd probably more go down a Jalen Phillips sort of Bradley Chubb route, but it was just when I looked at a team that needed edge, that's where I had.
Well, let's go down that route with Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb because again, two players that are. It's been a lot in social media today that they are on that block. So is it just the 49ers that you think could go through with them, or is there other teams do you think that could be sniffing around them? Because Jalen Phillips very, very young still. Bradley Chubb a little bit, in my opinion, past it, but
I mean, I would say it's the same teams. I think it's just that thing where it's like because you need edge rushers, it doesn't really change. I mean, the difference is that obviously it would be unlikely, or you would think it would be unlikely, that the Dolphins would be willing to trade to the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that's what would stop that from happening. But yeah, I mean the 49ers, I think Dallas obviously because of, if I know they're not in a particularly strong position at the moment, but they're a team that, they've got rid of Micah Parsons. You got to think that they're going to probably want to bring someone in, so they could go down for one of these edge rushers as well. Possibly Detroit. I feel like, you've got Aiden Hutchinson on one side, but the other side hasn't been that fantastic, and maybe that will help as well. And I feel like Hutchinson's been good. I mean, he's been amazing considering the injury that he had, but it's like he's not been as good as what he was before the injury yet, because it's going to take him time. So I think there's another team that could go down that route. Yeah, I mean, any of them. I feel like it's the same. These are the teams that are desperately looking for edge rusher help, aren't they?
What about on the offensive side, Andrew? Who do you think might be in the market to get moved?
I think the Chargers will be in the market for offensive line help. I think I know they're going to get Joe Alt back, but I think they definitely need to explore the market of depth with that, because that's the core of their team now, isn't it? That O-line, run game, protecting Herbert. That's kind of like what you think about when you think about the Chargers. Needs to be at a real strong O-line. I think they'll definitely be in the market. I know a lot of people have said they might be in the market for another running back, but I feel like Hampton coming back in 4 or 5 weeks, and how well Vidal did as well. I think more O-line for them is a must, and it needs to happen like now as well. I think Joe Alt might be back in next week, couple of weeks, something like that. But I think they need to get something now. I think you're looking at teams that are struggling. I think you go and tap the Browns up for one of their guys, or I don't think Miami.
In Wyatt Teller or Joe Bitonio.
Joe Bitonio is the one for me. I think he's filled in at tackle before, back in 2018. So he's done that. He's an emergency tackle if needed, but he's definitely going to shore up and can play across the line. So I just think depth for them at O-line is a must.
I know, Adam, that you're thinking there might be a few moves in New Orleans. Because of cap space. We know I feel it's because of cap space. It's not because of talent, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, some of these players are really, really good players, aren't they? It's just that they've reached a point where it's like they need to sort things out. And Alvin Kamara is one that it feels like should be moved on, considering his age as a running back. Now, I know that he's come out and says that he wants to retire there, but to be brutally honest, that's not. That's it doesn't matter, does it? It's like that's not how it works in this industry, sort of thing. It's like you can't just get what you want. And a team that obviously he's been linked to a lot is the Kansas City Chiefs, and that makes an awful lot of sense, because when you look at how Pacheco and Kareem Hunt have been, they haven't really done much. I mean, Mahomes is the leading rusher, isn't he? Still, I mean, that's crazy for that team. So I think that makes an awful lot of sense. You've got a couple of wide receivers in Chris Olave and in Rashid Shaheed, who I think could both do a job in different places. We've spoken before about the Bills are interested. I think that there are quite a few teams that
there's 3 teams that are interested in Olave.
Well, right, okay. Who are the others? Do you know the others?
Yeah, the Giants are apparently interested in Olave. They want to give Jackson Dart the best opportunity he can to succeed. So I've heard that the Giants are in the market for a wide receiver. I've heard a couple of names rumbling about, but that is one of them. And I've also heard the Steelers also might be in for Olave as well.
So that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Because
not the area that I think we should be doing, but
well, I mean, I think the thing is that where the Steelers are at the moment is that they've got DK Metcalf, who's like right up here when it comes to the wide receiver room, and then there's not a lot. I mean, Calvin Austin does bits and stuff like that, but
outside of DK,
no, it's like
it's 3 tight ends and Metcalf.
Yeah.
So
I just think one player that when we talk about the Saints within that is Alvin Kamara, and I think the narrative has totally been the Chiefs.
Yeah.
When you look at it, we're 31st in rushing. Like, I think we should be going for a running back myself. And I wouldn't want Alvin Kamara personally. Personally, I would look towards New York Jets and look at Breece Hall, who's in his last year of his rookie deal, and think about him. That's what I would go. I mean, we haven't got loads of cap space, admittedly, but we were saying about opportunity earlier. I said about the Patriots' opportunity to win this division with Hendrickson to push on. Isn't this the all or nothing year for the Steelers after this offseason?
Yep.
With Ramsey, with Metcalf, with Rodgers? This is all or nothing. So we're 31st in rushing, with Jalen Warren, who's been injured as well. Kenneth Gainwell was sublime in Dublin, admittedly, but that was just one game. Like, come on, that's not Kenneth Gainwell's game. Caleb Johnson, our draftee, has been a dramatic bust at the minute. I think the Steelers should be looking at Hall or Kamara. And I think
you got Rodgers completing like 70+% completion percentage. So let him throw. You maybe you're not a running team anymore. Maybe you're a throwing team. But
we have to be a bit better in the running than what we do. I don't believe that, honestly. I honestly don't believe that. I think under Ralph Smith, I know we've got Aaron Rodgers, but we've also got to manage Aaron Rodgers as well. We've got to manage his load as well. When it comes to December and he's been throwing that much, come on, we need to do something about it. And it flips a little bit with obviously we said about the wide receiver as well, DK Metcalf, the 3 tight ends. I agree on that as well. I think we should go for a Shaheed over Olave personally. I think Olave and Metcalf are sort of a little bit similar. But
no.
DK Metcalf's just a bigger Olave in my brain.
No, DK Metcalf's like an X receiver, like on the outside, big bodied guy. You throwing the ball to him. Olave can play out the slot, and he's a get the ball
I think
and then let him do stuff
slot,
with it.
Huh? Shaheed's better at stretching the field.
Yeah, Shaheed's an over the top like speedster, isn't he? I think Olave's a get him the ball sort of in the mid range, so he'll play out the slot a bit more. So yeah, I think it offers you something different and another target.
Do you think if the Chiefs were to trade for a running back that Hunt or Pacheco is involved within that trade? Going the other way?
Potentially.
Do you think? I don't know. I suppose it depends.
Maybe that's a bit fantasy football of me, but
I
just when I was looking at it, was thinking, well, then you would have Pacheco, Hunt, and Breece Hall, or bang.
I think
Kamara
you'd be more likely to drop one of them, to be honest, or trade one of them to a different team.
Potentially, I just think if you went the other way, if Breece Hall was to go from the Jets, who do you have next? What is it? Isaiah Davis? The lad behind him?
There wouldn't be much. Yeah, I mean, it's possible.
You get Kareem Hunt for a year. A decent, Pacheco's still got 26, but has that injury proneness. I know Hunt's at the aging his career, but then the Jets and the Saints, for that matter, could go in the draft. And even though Kendre Miller, is it Kendre Miller? Who came in, he was pretty okay.
Pretty good.
Exactly. They could rely on Kendre Miller. The Jets, I don't think, would rely on Isaiah Davis. I think they would probably want something, or maybe go out and they get someone or sign someone off the street, as opposed to who's a free agent at the minute who could maybe fill in, I suppose.
Yeah. I think there's a couple of veteran tight ends that could move as well.
Mark Andrews.
I think David Njoku potentially could move. They've just brought in Harold Fanning, who's looked really good at the Browns. So I think that you could see Njoku go. I know he's injured at the moment, but Andrews, I think, could go. I don't have any specific teams for him, but I think
I've got one. I've got one team who I actually put Chigs Okonkwo, who I know is not veteran. I think he could be someone who could look to be on the move for that.
Yeah, same logic.
A bit older. Same logic. But the team for me was the Jags, to be honest.
Brendan Strange is out.
Yeah.
Brendan Strange is out. They got another guy in there. Brendan Strange was pretty good, but then they could have that duo. I mean, they've got, I think the Chargers and the Rams could think about it as well. To be honest, the Rams, their tight ends get injured quite a bit. Higby's not been on the field all that much.
I
know
think the
they
Chargers
drafted someone.
could look at a tight end.
Don't think the Rams.
Yeah, equally.
I think
the Rams need to go after a cornerback, don't they? It's corner help they need. I think they will definitely be in the trade market. I think maybe Rasul Douglas, someone like that. They'll go after. I think cornerbacks where they'll look at the trade market. There is another one that I called it in. I think it was about week 2 because I know we're running out of time, and I put it in our group chat, and then I got mocked for it. But I said AJ Brown to the Patriots, and
I don't think that's ridiculous.
Said, what you on about? He wants out of there, doesn't he? It's about time they freed him and let him go.
Freed him.
Yeah, they're not using him right.
Why haven't they used him right? Do we think?
Because they're a run-first team, and Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback, and he's only good. He's only great when the run game is really, really good. So I just don't think Jalen Hurts can get him the ball the way that a great quarterback could.
And he seems. I mean, I don't know. I haven't got the targets in front of me. He's
had loads of targets recently because they just keep abandoning the run game early doors and just going, let's just try and ply him with the ball because he asks for more of the ball, but they're not delivering it to him in the right way. Didn't he have like 5 receptions for 40 yards in one of the games? It's like you're not using AJ Brown correctly there. Freddie, why don't you get the Ole Miss set up and just have DK and AJ Brown?
I would love that. I would be so pleased with that. That'd be insane. I mean, I played down, but I didn't want Chris. I would love Chris Olave. Of course, I'd love Chris Olave, and I'd like Rashid Shaheed as well. I mean, the thing when you said about the Bills, I would see the Bills looking at someone like AJ Brown as well, or Chris Olave. But I think Khalil Shakir's like Rashid Shaheed in a way. I think they're a little bit too similar in that sort of style. So yeah, I certainly wouldn't mind AJ Brown. Free AJ Brown out of Philadelphia. Even though, like he's had a really bad time winning a Super Bowl ring there.
Wow, yeah. He said it wasn't about. He said it's his legacy more than the Super Bowl. So he wants the stats.
A bit of a me over we scenario. That sounds like a Steeler player, to be fair. We had one of them in Antonio Brown many years ago.